Going to be recording a short workout video here called the Lost 40 workout. It's iteration 1 of this workout, and it's designed to be expanded and or contracted in terms of the amount of exercises that is in the workout. You're going to need a pair of TRX straps, or in this case rib 60. This is your warm-up. You're going to go through a lunge pattern with some upper body interaction. You're going to do about 10 reps of these. You're going to start slowly, deliberately, trying not to go to full range. As I'm making the movie, I'm going to try and give you enough time for each exercise to get between 8 and 12 reps done. So I'm going to take my time. I'm going to do some cueing and explaining as I go to allow you to play the movie and get your workout done in terms of the rep load. So here's the first one. This one's squat row. Squat down nice and slowly, working on that triple hinge pattern, ankle, knee and hip. Using some momentum coming up out of the legs to row in the arms, elbows to ribs, so that you're working on not only leg strength, mobility and stability, but also some posture on your upper body. The next one is a squat curl. So you want to go palms up for this one, and then try and, if you can, get the knuckles to the forehead. So I'll try and go in profile a little bit for this so you can see that action. Palms up, knuckles to forehead. Once again, you're going for between 8 and 12 reps of that. So what you can do with these straps is increase or decrease the degree of difficulty by moving your feet in closer to the anchor. That makes it harder. Your body angle will be steeper, as demonstrated here. Or you can walk the feet out, lessening out that body angle. Once again, using momentum up out of the legs to get that curl in, and decreasing the gravity ground force reaction of being way in with that steep body angle. Your third one here is going to be dumbbell, or rather strap flies or squat flies. So you want high elbows for this one. Go palm down here, squat, high elbows. High elbow flies, once again, upper back. So once again, I'll give you time to get through your 8 to 12 reps on that. As we transition out of that, you'll be partially warm. We're going to go into a triceps extension. So for a lot of these, we're going to be suboptimally loaded. So we're not maximal load. It's not a true strength workout. The strength component of this is simply going to come to you by the number of reps that the workout entails. True strength, we would need to be lifting much heavier weight, but for the sake of this exercise, we're suboptimal. We don't want to get hurt, we want to be constructive. So go to your hands and knees, and then bend one elbow and tuck it on the rib cage, and then from here all you're doing is extending, triceps extension. So you want to go full extension and then a pause at the top with that tricep locked on. You're going 10 one side, or 8 to 12, and then you'll flip over and you'll hit the other side the exact same way. 3-point stance, elbow tucked, push out, lock the tricep. One not talked about area of these types of workouts where you're getting up and down off the floor is that the getting up and down is part of the workout. So you'll notice as I get up, it might not be the way people that watch this get up, but that's part of it. There's a lot going on when you're getting down on the floor and when you're getting up off the floor. So that becomes part of it. Just know that that's working on mobility, stability and strength as well, and integrity of your body movement. Okay, this next exercise, the goblet squat, is a great exercise. You want to get a moderate weighted dumbbell or kettlebell and then tuck it under the chin. So in profile, I want to bend my elbows and then put a little bit of subtle pressure up under the chin. And then when I squat, I like the pattern to be hips back, then bend the knees. Hips back, then bend the knees. So when I go front on, you can see my feet are around about shoulder width apart. You'll notice my movement both up and down isn't rapid. When you go slow and deliberate like that, you can focus quite a bit in on form. And if your tempo is slow, which is what I advocate for, you're increasing your time under tension, but you've also got control through the movement so that you can more safely get in and out of your end range. Heel elevated front raise. So I'm going to go in profile for this one. I'm going to go off camera here to get my slant board. For those of you that don't have one of these, you can just use a mat that's rolled up to elevate the heels, something like this. So the idea is that you set yourself up on that with your heels elevated, and then you take the suboptimal load out front. You go here. Once again, if you go slow, what you'll see is that the knees now are coming out over the toes, and that's because your heels are elevated, and you can do that safely. With those heels elevated, you're getting a little bit of a stretch here in the patella area, unlike what we did with the goblet squat. Have a look at where the knees go here in that position, as compared to where you go leveraging out the front. Those knees go further out from the body, and you're counter-levering them with the weight. Once again, go slow. Your knees will thank you for that move. It's a great move. Up arms, down legs. I'll post this hard copy of this workout at the end of the video too. Up arms, down legs is a flow movement. Up arms, down legs. So it's a progression from having the heels elevated. You can drop your weight down, or you could even have no weight, or what I find really useful is a dowel or a shovel handle or a broomstick. You can come down and you get really strong symmetry from having something to keep you symmetrical and observe and feel your exercise integrity from. So a dowel is very useful. As I said, that's a flow movement. Up arms, down legs. Shoulder matrix. If you have 3 pounders, 1 pounders, whatever. If you can handle 5s or even 10s, that's okay. The heavier you go, there's more risk that you're going to fall out of form and you start to borrow for the lift out of another place in the body. So if I'm too heavy here, I start to swing the body. What I really want is a strong and aggressive athletic stance. So soft knees, hips back, load here, and you're just working a very narrow band of movement. That's for the front deltoid. So you're going 8 to 10 reps in the front. I'm using 5s, but you can, as I say, use 1, 2, 3, 5, 10. Then you're going out to the side. same setup, same range, same tempo. 10 in here, and then I'll turn away to demonstrate how you do these at the back. Have a look at my thumbs. I make a big circle, and now the thumbs are here. Big circle back down with control. Thumbs here, thumbs here. Here it is, athletic stance. I'm trying to keep that pushed back behind me. So that's picking up the rear deltoid. It's a lot of reps in that shoulder matrix set. Once again, if you've got the sensible load, the right load for you, and you can move that through that with the right tempo, really healthy for the shoulders. Hip bridge, most of you will know, fairly straightforward. Once again, getting down and getting up, part of the workout. Set up here, flat feet, knees bent. As you're coming up into the hip bridge lift, you're increasing the tension in your glutes so that when you get to the top of the lift, you're making a clench here. So you're really working on making those big glute muscles healthy with this bridge pattern. Max height, 8 to 12. Banded rotation. You want a low to medium tense band anchored. So you want a hook in the wall or a knock in the door. You definitely want that far end anchored, and then you're just setting up for rotation. So keep the arms straight and rotate through your obliques or the transverse abdominis. So here, so you go 8 to 12 one way, then you'll recalibrate yourself and go 8 to 12 the other way. So that's your banded rotation. Then you'll once again get back to the floor and you'll do the hamstring bridge. So I'm going to stay in profile for you here so you can see it on camera. When we did the first set of hip bridges, we had bent knees, flat feet. Watch what happens here. We place the feet further away from the body and we go into dorsiflexion. So we pull the toes back in towards the anterior tibialis here. Dorsiflexion. And then we do a hip bridge. So what you'll notice in the movie is that my hips aren't coming up as high as when we do this one. They come up about half that height. But the emphasis is changing from the glute complex into the hamstring complex. This is what it looks like. So once again, you're going reasonably dynamic into the lift with a squeeze at the top, working those hamstrings. Split squat, curl and press. So earlier on we did the triceps. We did some curls when we did the TRX warm-up. Now we leverage a lunge pattern, a split squat. So depending on your conditioning level, don't go too far into this. It could be here, it could be here. But if the conditioning allows, you want to set in fairly long, fairly deep, and then you just go curl, press, and uncurl. So let me go face on so you can see how I rotate my wrists as I go through the movement. So I go curl and then I rotate in. Palm up, rotate in as I go into the shoulders. The idea is you want to try, if you can, to close your elbows in towards your ears. And if I go back to profile, you want to be trying to keep a fairly straight spine with a straight shoulder press up. Not necessarily out here, although if that's what you can do successfully, then do that. But if you can, pull back as far as you can into that straight up and down position. So some of that is aspirational and it's a work on, and be patient, give yourself some time. Lateral lunges weighted. So if I'm going to take a wide stance here and choose my right side, I have the dumbbells in my right hand, and I just basically push my knee out over the second and third toes of my right foot and reach the weight straight down. So I'm in a knee bend and a hip hinge, reaching towards the floor and then coming back to neutral and going again, same side. So we get a little lactate reaction by doing all the reps outright, 8 to 12, and I'm working on my frontal plane or lateral lunge, putting a little weight in there for bone density, muscle strength, stimulation, and then of course at your 8 or 10 mark, you're going to switch over and do the same on the other side. You'll notice as I'm reaching into this left side, this is getting a nice stretch. I'll go into profile so you can see the hip hinge part of it. So you'll see initially it's a knee bend, and it gets to a point where the knee bend maxes out and it turns into a hip hinge as you reach for the floor. Knee bend, hip hinge. Great exercise. Single leg bridge now. So once again, getting up, getting down. This one, you're doing back to the original bridge pattern, but off one leg. So you want your thighs in parallel, and you're just coming up out of that one hip. I'm going to swap legs here in a minute so you can see how mechanical this is. You want the idea that you're going straight up and straight down, and that your hips are remaining level. Up. Going for height, 8 or 12 reps. And once again, part of the workout is the getting up and the getting down. You'll notice when you start doing this workout that you'll want to get up one way. You'll favor one side, you'll favor one pattern, and that's okay. But over time, as you build your confidence and strength, try to get up on the side that's not instinctive for you to get up on. So you catch that side up. We're like water, we take the path of least resistance. So focus on getting up on the side that instinct is telling you not to. So go counter-instinctive, work on that, what is essentially, based on that premise, your weak side. External hip rotation lunge. So for a simple demonstration of the advantages here, hip mobility, stability and strength is huge as we age. If this is your hip joint, external hip rotation puts both hips into rotation. So what we do is we take our athletic stance and we externally rotate, we step back and across. Now our hips have gone into external rotation, and then much like this pattern here where we did the lateral knee bend and hip hinge, we do the same here. Once we're externally rotated, we push into that quadrant, we knee bend, we hip hinge, and we reach for the foot, and we come back to our neutral stance. And we complete one side with 8 to 12 before we go back to the other side for the same exercise. Balance lunge, we can go unloaded here, because as it says, the challenge here once we set up our lunge pattern is balance. So you want to be, now that you're fairly warm, fairly ambitious with the length of your lunge and the depth of your lunge. Once you get it set up and locked in, imagine there's a line down the center of your body and you pull your knees into that. Put your hands at shoulder height and rotate over the top of the forward knee. Rotation in a workout is huge. You want to build it in. Thoracic spine rotation is great for our health. So that's what it is, and it creates this balance issue with the lower body while you're generating some thoracic spine rotation, which is so healthy, as it says, for the spine. And then balance hinge. You might want some support for this one. So, for example, you could use a chair, probably is the best one, but you could use a dowel if you can. Just use your hands or a weight as the driver. Something long like a dowel is good because it's a single leg and it's a hinge pattern for the hip. So you're going here. If you have a dowel, you can drop it down on one side or the other for a bit of balance. The aim, if you can get there, is to get to the floor and then leverage the floor to get some height out of this leg. And you're trying to straighten this one. If you need support, you can just use your stick or the back of a chair and going here. It's single leg, so there's a lot of stability for the leg, the stance leg that you're working. Once again, 8 to 12 with one stance, flip it over, 8 to 12 with the other one. That's called balance hinge. We have balance lunge, then balance hinge in a row. Now we've got banded laterals for our last exercise. So take your band. Get the band about mid-foot. So I'll go into profile so you can see. Here's your band. You step on it, mid-foot. Then you load the band. I'll come back front on so you can see. Then you're taking a big step with a catch-up step. Big step, catch up, big, little, big, little, big, little. That's a great pattern for developing your glutes, and also you're working on abduction. So at this point, as I said right at the beginning, that's iteration 1. So we can either shrink or expand these workouts according to your conditioning. So meet yourself where you are in terms of rep count, dumbbell weight, some of the tools that you use to help you have success during the workout. We can vary them. Also, we're working with tempo, distance, reach, speed, all of those things. So once again, meet yourself where you are with all of those constraints during the execution of that workout. And then do this for 3-4 weeks, up to a month. If you need to, increase your reps, increase your weight, and then we can look at expanding the workout a little bit more. So that's it, the Lost 40 workout.